Let's look at the text from the Parsha. First, it says that God says, Nasa Adam on day 6, right? Let's make a human b'tzalmenu kidmuseinu in our form, our image, and so on. And we know that according to especially philosophers like the Rambam, Maimonides, this idea of image and demos also means something of similarity. These are all references to more of the spirit, the soul, spirit, or intelligence. Jonathan is asking in the chat, is the 6 days there to serve, to be in the word in order to achieve the elevation that comes to Shabbos, or is the Aliyah, that high state of Shabbos there to serve us through the weekdays? See it in the Zohar too. It's discussed in both ways. That it's not a Shabbos if there's not the 6 days beforehand that we really work it out. Like no one really appreciates vacation unless you work hard, right? And then also Shabbos itself infuses us with the energy to be able to make it through the subsequent 6 days. There it is. Okay. So back to our parsha. So we have already, when it says here that God created the Adam, the human, some say that is already a reference to the soul, but you don't see it openly in the verse here. Someone could just mean the body of that. See what Rashi says. Rashi says on B'tzam, God created B'tzam b'tfusa asumay. With the special template that the human was made. I suppose the way we are, 2 eyes, a nose, ears, bipodal, and all that. Selim Diyakin Yetzer, it says it's an image like it's the creator. And also Zachar Nekeva, it's created male and female already initially, which is so the question is, what do you mean female? I thought the female Eve was created later, right? The famous Adam's rib. So what's going on here? So actually this is a source brought down in Medrash and in Gemara that originally Adam was du partsufim, it was almost like a Siamese twin connected back to back. And the removal of the rib was the splitting, was a surgical separation of the male element from the female element, of the bigendered original human. And that severance of the two gender is called Nisira in Kabbalah. So but originally there was this male-female in one body created. That's why it says Bereishit, even though it's both. I mean, here it says Kim Bereishit, it in singular and then plural, because there were both elements. But but when it comes to the actual soul, animating, that is the next chapter. After Vayichulu. And mentioning that there was a whole land here, but the only missing element, piece of the whole puzzle of the world was the human. So what did God do? Adam afim Adama. No, here it doesn't say bara, created, but yitzer, formed. Meaning, yes, it was already a state of human, but it just wasn't animated yet. It wasn't given that form, that spirit form. Then God blew into the nostrils the soul of life, and then the person became a living being. And I think the Chassidish Taich and the Maggid is you blow spirit, the holy teachings, into anyone that animates the person. Okay. So here we have the very first place where it speaks about soul. Soul in human b'chlal. And again, this is happening Friday afternoon. So there's this soul element. At the same time, it's right. So in a way, when, as we'll see, the sources hope that there's this notion that we have a neshama yisera, an extra, quote unquote, whatever, as we'll see what the taich is, the meaning of yisera, additional soul means. But in a way, this is a repeat of the original infusion of soul into Adam, to the human. And we go through it every Friday afternoon, especially with our preparations for the extra soul. Now, what is this? Okay, so we have soul, of course, we're living. Come Shabbos, we say that there's extra soul. Now, what does this mean, extra soul? Because understanding what is this extra soul will also help us understand what happens when Shabbos leaves, meaning that we give up this extra soul. And also has to do with an important part of Havdalah that we do every Saturday night. So the first piece, the place we'll look in is Gemara, the end of Tractate Tainus. This is the same Gemara that we looked at, if you remember, Tu B'Av time. We went through very interesting Gemaras about Tu B'Av. So in this same Gemara, it speaks also about, parenthetically, it comes in about Shabbos. And actually, here in Safari, they also have some English translation of some stuff. So let me highlight that. So we could look. First, there's a discussion of who the priests, what specifically they would focus on prayers for every day of the week. Okay. And fasting when different communities would fast. And then it says that they would not fast Friday afternoon because it's before Shabbos, and certainly not Shabbos. So the question is, what is, let's look over here. The Gemara asks, what is the reason that do not fast on Sunday? Rabbi Yochanan says, due to the Christians, the Sunday is their day of rest, and they would claim that even Jews ascribe significance to the special day. Okay. Shmuel bar Nachmani says, because Sunday is the third day of creation of the human, was created on Friday, and third day of recovery from a wound or sickness, in this case, one's very creation is considered the most painful, so you don't fast. Now, Reish Lakish says, the reason why we do not fast on Sunday is mipnei neshama yisera, because of the extra yisera, extra soul. We'll soon see the way Rashi interprets neshama yisera. The Amar Reish Lakish, for Reish Lakish said, Reish Lakish, famous teacher of the Talmud, son-in-law of Rabbi Yochanan. Reish Lakish used to be a highway robber until he saw the beauty of Rabbi Yochanan, which he realized came from his learning, and Reish Lakish became one of the great teachers, a great teacher. So Reish Lakish said, "Neshama yisera nitul leiba Adam b'erev Shabbos." A surplus soul was given to Adam on a Friday afternoon, this very time we're talking about, on Shabbos, erev Shabbos. And then what happened? Motzoei Shabbat night l'maisem. But then came Saturday night, and that extra soul was taken from it. Shenemar, as the verse says in Exodus, it says, "Kivay Shavas." And on the seventh day, Shavas, God rested. Vayin nafash. Vayin nafash is you could say vayin nafash is like breathed, exhaled, like right? Here in the English, he says, and rested. Vayin nafash has to do with like became relaxed. Like shavas enough, But here, the Gemara Reish Lakish says that the word nafash, vayin nafash, is a compound. And you should read this word shavas vayin nafash the following. Kivan sheshavas, since one has rested, meaning the one has gone through Shabbos, or one could say sheshavas, that once Shabbos itself is shavas, was finished, then the person exclaims, Vai, of the nefesh. Whoa, I lost my soul. Right? That's the the word vayinafesh is vayinafesh. Whoa, where did my soul go? I lost it. So basically, Sunday we're still under the effect of having, missing our added Shabbos soul. So we're feeling drained, feeling low at a lower state. Right? It says you're weak from the sun. Okay, so that is what's most important to here. But now let's look at the Rashi on this. Rashi says, what is Neshama Yisera? Look to the right. That God is taken from him. So here Neshama Yisera sounds like this it's an actual soul that is taken. What is Neshama Yisera? Second Rashi says, that we expand one's mind or psyche with eat and drink, meaning that Neshama Yisera is basically like a psychological state, according to Rashi, a state where we feel no constraints, no anxiety, no pressures, nothing squeezing us. But it's like we say in Yiddish, we're wide, we have expansiveness. So according to this, and right, Neshama Yisera means it's the one soul that we already have anyways, but on Shabbos, this soul that we carry on every day, this now Shabbos, it expands more. But it's still the same soul, just in wider range. Okay. Saying that this extra added or expanded soul that's given on Shabbos, that gives us the energy to eat more, and that also brings us the oneg, the enjoyment, and the joy of that we acquire on Shabbos. Okay, open already. So I'll just share you another Gemara Beitza. The Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. Neshama Yisera Neisei Kadosh Baruch Hu ba'adam erev Shabbos. God gives ba'adam. That doesn't mean Adam, but every human, like you and me, God gives us an additional soul. But really, we see Rashi means an expansion of our existence soul. Eve Shabbos. And taken away Motzoei Shabbat. Again, he repeats here, Shalvei Nefesh is Kimish Shabbos by of the Nefesh. And here too, let's see what the commentaries. So we see according to Gemara and the Rashi certainly, and just no other commentators, that the idea of Neshama Yisera is not a second soul, but it's the soul that we have already in more expanded form. Okay. Now we're going to look at the Zohar. And that's we'll see in the Zohar that the Zohar says actually we do acquire a second soul. Zohar, different parts of it, and altogether we'll get the picture. What is this additional soul? What is this Neshama Yisera? And you'll see how it's related also with Havdalah and all that. So before the Zohar here goes through the details of what it's like, what's happening when you make Kiddush at night, Kiddush at day, and all that. And then the Zohar continues. Lavasa denafik Shabta, after Shabbos leaves, departs, the human needs to make a separation between the holy and the ordinary. Amai, why? Because this is a crucial time, just when we're leaving Shabbos, that we still have the Shabbos energy in us and greatness. And we are at this time given permission that those subjects down here on earth, are given permission to have control, dominion on things down here on earth, and also and that anything happening here in the world, to see its unity as it being in a sacred, holy way and place, and that down here everything is infused with this the supernal holiness. That those down here are given the ability to discern what the unities of below from the unities from above, meaning that the earth down world-based ways of the unity and the permeance of the holy, versus or to separate it from the upper unity. If you remember when we were learning Kigavana, for example, we spoke about that there's the unity of making one below, then there's the unity of making one above. And then the whole aim of Shabbos is to unify the two unities, right? As we spoke about, the lower unity with upper unity. Here he's saying that at the end of Shabbos, where the human is already empowered to be able to talk and make a distinction between what's the upper unity and lower P. And then he continues that this is also related to the blessing on Bereishit Eish, on the fire. He said because all other fires are concealed on Shabbos except the one holy fire that's revealed during Kiddush. And when that one fire during Kiddush is revealed, all other fires become concealed. And that's the fire of the Akedah of Yitzchak, of Isaac's, is on the altar. So, and he goes in more detail about the fire, but we'll keep this for another discussion when we go more into detail about the fire. But the point is, cutting to the chase, what he speaks about, he goes through various things that are happening when Shabbos leaves. We'll come back to it, and how it's related also to the smelling of the besamim. And that is the crucial point here, that the idea of the Neshama Yisera departing the body at the end of Shabbos, Motzoei Shabbat, is the reason why we smell the good herbs, the spices, right, the besamim. Because the besamim, as we'll see, is supposed to relieve us from this loss of our extra soul or our expanded soul. It's supposed to be meshiv nefesh, return us back spirit. Like he says here, that when the Shabbos leaves, you have to smell the besamim, to return, to relax the soul, because there's this supernal spirit, what have you, and smell that is departing from it. Okay? And we're going to come back to how it's all related to the summon. I just wanted to find the Zohars that discuss specifically about extra soul. The actual term, like having extra soul. We see Mamish, the Zohar, connecting the besamim smelling with the supernal soul. Talchasei. Come and see. This is like opening statement. Leis alma miskaya el al reicha. The world cannot exist. It exists only because of smell, scent. From this scent that we're going to discuss, we could infer and understand other scents. Because when Shabbos departs, leaves, the salka nafsha yisera, and its extra soul leaves, vishta'aru nafsha berucha misparasha natzivim, and what's remaining is only the nefesh and ruach, because as we know, the main core of our souls is actually three parts. The lowest is nefesh, above it ruach, above it neshama. And so it seems like he's associating the what he's calling here nafsha yisera is actually what we're calling in the Gemara neshama yisera, and he's correlating it with that highest realm within the core of the soul, which is the neshama. So once the neshama, that extra leaves, all that we're remained with is the two lower levels, the nefesh and ruach, and they are atzivin. Atzivin means they're like almost like depressed, melancholy, because the neshama left the upper level. So asarei chavda. So that is when this smell comes. When we scarf and and they come close together, and and make each other happy again. What is this smell? He says that it's related to the hadas, right? The myrtle. There are those that use specifically myrtle for Havdalah. And in fact, if you remember, we were learning early on about the Arizal that there was a thing to have hadas in myrtle bundles for the meal Friday night, a day. It's related to the Gemara of Shemir Yachai. So an old person comes preparing 2 bundles of myrtle for Shabbos, and what have you. So there are those that use the myrtle on Friday night also for Havdalah. And that they have 3 branches, the myrtle, right? And also we know the idea of the 3, like 3 leaves around for that dasim. And here he's connecting it also. He says there's 3 branches, 3 related to the 3 patriarchs. But basically it's this summon, this is what reinvigorates our extra soul. So that's one Zayar. Now we're going to go to another Zayar, also correlating Shabbos with the extra soul that we're talking about. First, he says here that the Talmid Chacham, the scholar, the one who learns, is considered Talmid Kiyam Shabbos is like, it's represented by Shabbos, that it doesn't have anything by himself. Nefesh the Talmid Chacham is Kriya Shabbos Malkus. So the soul of those that study Torah scholars are called Shabbos Queen. Nefesh Yisered the Shabbos, the extra soul of Shabbos. Delay Nishmas Chaim, and its delight, its bliss, is what is known as the living neshama soul. Ruach Sichli, and the spirit of psyche. The Inun Neshama Yisera, and these they are the extra soul, surplus soul, Ruach Yisera. And these are, so it's the extra soul, extra Ruach, spirit, Al Neshama V'rucha V'nafsha. So these are the ones that are in addition to the one Nefesh Ruach Neshama that we have that operate the body throughout the weekdays. Come Shabbos, then there's that extra soul, Neshama Yisera, extra Nishmas Kol Chai, which represents the soul of all living. Keser Bereishit Tzaddik, like the crown on the head of the Tzaddik, the Iyu Yom Shabbos, which is the Shabbos day. Right? Like the last verse in Tehillim. Kol neshama tahalokah. So it doesn't say kol neshama, every soul, but kol ha-neshama. All the soul. Right? What is this all the soul? What is this the soul? This is this soul, this extra soul of Shabbos, and that brings out extra praise and awareness of divine. So what is Yud K? Inun Abba Be'ima, they represent the father element and the paternal and maternal elements of the divine. It's the Yud and K. And that's the highest states of divine beingness that is the source of all. He goes more into detail, things of like the extra ruach that leaves from Eden, Nafik, Nahar Denafim Eden. It's like represented by we also have in our parsha the river streaming out of Eden. That waters the garden, right? So he's saying that there's 3 parts. There's Eden, the source, then you have the river, then you have that's then flowing to the garden. So the garden represents the lowest realm of soul, the nefesh, extra nefesh. Then above that is the river, which is the ruach. And above that is Eden itself, is the neshama. And that's also Eden's related to the word oneg. It's one more. It's like oneg plus 1, which is plus soul. That is Eden. All right. So here we see scholars and all that. And here's another part. But what we're getting out of all this is that when the Zohar speaks about Neshama Yisera, it's not just an expanded one soul, but it's a whole new soul acquired on Shabbos. So let's look at another Zohar. It says, Zohar first goes about when we are still in the state of exile and how the various forces are in the way, both negative and positive, and how we could prepare ourselves to receive Mashiach, Messiah of son of Joseph. That God, he sits to the right of God, and in the exile of Ishmael, and so on. Then it said this is all about in the world to come when Mashiach comes. That then too God will activate, bring up the Yisrael will wake up a extra ruach spirit, Tesefes al Yisrael, which will be added to Israel. Like the verse says, Eshbechus ruchi akabarsa, I will pour my spirit on all flesh. Have a nightly sell neumin dama, and it will come down to Israel from all the nations, etc. So now he associates the messianic the acquisition of the extra spirit in the times of Mashiach. He associates it with Shabbos. Kigamna the Shabbos, so like Shabbos, the Tais of Nosh, Nefesh Yisrael b'Shabbos, that a person acquires an extra soul on Shabbos. The East Lane Ba Naicha, and it has great Naicha is pleasantness or rest. I ben Nefesh Yisrael, I Lane East Lane Naicha. If he has this extra soul, then the person, the spirit is resting or is happy. Nukva. This is even on the feminine state. Or the more so on the masculine state, the higher levels. Then he goes on that the great scholars of the Talmud say is all one. He says that that the righteous have this extra soul as even other times, but on Shabbos everyone becomes like acquires this neshama yisrael extra soul, and he goes more into detail that everyone when he acquires this extra soul on Shabbos, it's all based on what we are throughout the week. If we are more like a chassid, a kind person, then our extra soul of Shabbos comes from the midah of chesed, of kindness, on that level. If we were like more gevura gibar, standing up and afraid of, don't sin, and then we're given an extra soul from gevura. And if we were more sincere, then our extra soul is from the midah, the attribute of truth, and so on, going through all the 10 spheres. And if one is wise, it's coming from Bina or from Netzach. So it's very interesting how he just breaks it down specifically that we get this extra soul. So we see Mamish, he's talking about Mamish, extra soul. So how is this connected to why we smell the summon? Because scent, remember again, where does, like we just saw in the Parsha, how does the soul enter the human body? Through the nose, through the nostrils, through the scent. So we almost breathe, smell our soul into our body. God scents, right? There's that movie, Scent of a Woman. We could call it Scent of a Soul. That's what we're talking about. That it's mamish, it's olfactory, enters us. And therefore, in correlation, in order, once whether we see the neshama yisera, whether it's just that when Shabbos leaves, this same soul begins to constrict and become, it's like the inflated balloon losing its air, and we could even start feeling down because of it. So then we smell the incense that's supposed to relieve us. It's supposed to bring us back into our bodies and to reinvigorate us, even though we have less soul energy now, to feel better. And even when we say that it's according to the Kabbalah and the Zohar, that's an actual extra soul, there too, all the more so, we need the soul therapy to keep us grounded. It says that God will infuse Mashiach with sense. Not just that Mashiach himself will be fragrant, but it says that Mashiach will adjudicate and figure out what's right, even let's say in in a judging way, judgment, like what people are up to, what they did, not based, it says not based on sight or what he hears, testimony, what have you, but just like smelling what is right, what is justice. Like, there's this, in Yiddish we say, like, it says, it's another connotation of saying when we sense something is right intuitively. You can't explain it, but you smell it, right?
Geschmack.
We have it, right? Geschmack. Well, I think we spoke about in the past. Geschmack in German means to smell, but in Yiddish it means to taste. But yeah, but that idea of smell is deeply connected with Mashiach. The whole reach nichoach, right? It's like sacrificial, right? Aroma. That it's supposed to connote that too. That there's almost like a scent, but because again, it's taking from the physical and almost spiritualizing it. It's like this mist that departs from the physical source of the smell and reaching us beyond the constraints of the thing. And unlike sight and sound as much, but deeper, I suppose if you look under, at high magnification, there's probably little particles of something, molecules, something. Well, so, and again, there's just the sound of the word itself, reach, which is smell in Hebrew, is so close with ruach, that the spirit or the wind that's carrying it. So it's almost saying that reach, smell, is the most ruchniut, spiritual state in the physical world. That's still something. So maybe that's why it's connected to activating, relaxing the soul. The soul in the body, is as we were talking before, is also that spirit realm that's within our physical existence. It's almost that the smell is like a glue of the soul to the body. It helps the soul remain in the body. And also when that neshama, you say, relieves the body, it's able to relax the soul that remains in our bodies, from separation anxiety, if you want to call it that, or something. Come back to yourself. Right? Also, when you smell what's happening, think about it. You're inhaling. That's what smell means. Inhaling means you bring air into the body. The lungs are expanding. You're letting it in, taking it in. It's that in itself, relieving. Even if there wasn't any smell, even if we just did long inhale, exhale exercises, that would also relax. Or the more so it's both the neshima, the breath itself, which is related to the word neshama, of course, and the reach brings the ruach in. So again, that's why we smell the psamim at the end of Havdalah, because that's when our extra soul is departing. Bring it back. Well, so it's two parts also. So it's not so, and it's both because. And here's what grounds the part. The whole point why we make Havdalah is to be the bookending of reminder and praising about Shabbos. So Friday night we make the first kiddush. That's to remind us, to remember to be aware in our psyche that we're entering Shabbos, and to sanctify it. And this brings us gladness, even joy, right? Then at the end of Shabbos, what's happening? We're making another blessing on wine. We call it Havdalah, which is what? As we were saying before, to take the Shabbos energy into the rest of the week. So the first Friday night is to bring in the Shabbos and bring in the spirit into Shabbos. The Havdalah is to take the Shabbos into the rest of the week, Motzoei Shabbat. But it's all an extension of an awareness of the positivity of Shabbos and the effect Shabbos has on our lives throughout the week. So to be in that state of gladness and happy, remembering the praise of Shabbos, that is again is that is part of the Havdalah itself, Saturday night. So in order to be at our optimum in that state of joy and praise of and remembering Shabbos, despite the soul leaving us, that extra soul leaving us on Saturday night Shabbos, therefore we smell the Pesamim, the herb. So this brings back a happiness for Saturday night. So we do not have this FOMO of that we're going to not have Shabbos anymore. But we could still, despite knowing Shabbos is ending, but still be able to be happy and positive and even praise Shabbos through that. And that again represents what the Psalm is about. So Baruch Hashem, it's more on the Parsha, of course. We could speak all about the tree of knowledge and other things. That's it. Let's build our way up, okay? Next week we'll go more, etc., etc. So, as you know, calling it that more or less we're by Hulu, HaZoom, the HaFacebook, the whole internet. Okay, that we're coming to an end, at least to this session, to say Simcha. In addition to just being, the day after, a bit spiritually hungover here from Simchas Torah, I mamish, if time permitting, and I would love to also talk about what we started speaking before, about the whole idea that the human is set up to sin, and how that's related to the Eitz Hadat, the tree of knowledge, and Adam and Chava, and the snake, and all that stuff. Whole new area of discussion, which could go on for long. So maybe if we do want to discuss it, we could do it next week too. We'll end off with one thing at least, because this is connected with something that we're ready. It's so funny. It was like yesterday that we were learning Bereishit and Shemot, right, together, and here we are. And that is related to Shemot, the idea of a name. That it says one main factor in one great thing right after the human was created, and what made the human stand out, Adam Rishon stand out, was the fact that he was able to correctly name all the animals. And the Medrash says that itself was a proof why the human had more intelligence and created, even more than the angels. The angels couldn't name the correct names, whereas Adam was able to. So there's a very great question. If we know, according not even Kabbalah, you look in the Bible, in Cheskel, you see that angels themselves evolved from the supernal animals of the Merkava, right? The shar, the bull, the eagle, the lion, etc. That means that angels themselves are connected with animals. So wouldn't the angels know their source, know their names of animals? It's like it's part of their angelic DNA in a way, right? So why Dafka, the only human, Adam, was able to name the right names? So in short, the answer is that naming a name is not just putting a label on something. But naming a name is being able to show and express the correct quality, personality, state of the one thing being named. Moreover, it is that we're revealing what it really is on a soul spirit level down here. It's it's like we said before, start off the great miracle of being able to merge soul with body. So too, the ability to draw down and show what is the source of this given animal or that given animal or that. It's not just that we come, that like the angel, you're from that source, but you're more. You could be from a source, but you can't bring it down. The human, who's a composite of both spirit and physical, Dafka, the human is the one who could bring down into the body, into the physical form of the animal, draw down and express and reveal what that animal really is. Meaning that it's only the human that can merge the highest spirit states with the lowest physical states. And this merging of spirit and physical, through animal naming, is the preamble, foreshadow of what will ultimately be the Matan Torah, receiving the Torah on Mount Sinai, which there too, as we've spoken about more than once in the past, was the merging of heaven with earth. And maybe that, again, just thinking out loud, maybe back to that part, the Baal Shem Tov, the Maggid, Bereishit, Bara Elokim et Hashemayim Haaretz, the first thing for us to do is to reveal Bara Elokim, godliness in heaven and earth. It's not just to reveal the godliness in heaven and earth, but to reveal that heaven and earth are one. What is that one? Godliness. Okay. All that singularity that we're talking about, that unity that we saw in the Zohar mentioned. So may we mamish, again, that's also in the name of our Parsha Bereishit, that from this beginning, may we go on to greatness and start off this year. And this, as we said earlier, the way we set ourselves up to Shabbos Bereishit this week, that's how hopefully we'll go the whole year. So may we start off, like the great marathons with supercharging, right? The first sprint, and keep that high momentum going through all the weeks and months to come. So thank you again, everyone. Good Shabbos. May mamish, we have the greatest, highest Shabbos, because this is the Shabbos that's setting all the Shabbosim to come. And this is the Shabbos where we read about the very first Shabbos ever. So maybe mamish feel the Shabbos like it is the first Shabbos ever. And it's like we like saying in certain circles, it's not just Shabbos, but the Shabbos, right? We get the state of bliss in Shabbos. We make it Shabbos. All right. So thank you, everyone. We're ready today, Yom Revi. We're ready, feeling Shabbos in the air. We could already smell Shabbos coming. Yeah, the smell of, I don't know if it's the smell of cholent and gefilte fish, but there's a certain type of special aroma, right? Because it's still Gan Eden. We know Gan Eden has its own special aroma. We must say that it's happening here too. All right. So call to. Thank you, everyone. It's a new year, and I gave over the wie mishtalt sich weg Shabbos Bereishit. Also geht es ein ganzes Jahr.
Ganzes Jahr. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
A ganz Jahr Freilach, 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 a ganz Jahr Freilach. A whole year happy, a whole year happy, a whole year happy, be happy, a whole year happy, a whole year happy, a whole year happy, be happy, a whole year happy, a whole year happy, whole year happy, happy we'll be, a whole year happy, whole year happy, a whole year happy, happy be. Good Shabbos, Jonathan, good Shabbos, good Shabbos, Danny, good Shabbos, good Shabbos, Steve, good Shabbos, good Shabbos, Ariel, good Shabbos, good Shabbos, Harvey, good Shabbos, good Shabbos, yours truly, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, everyone in the virtual and real world, and the whole world, to sing the holy song of Shabbos. Shabbos, Shabbos. Woo! It's going to be a great Kiddush. I feel it already. Friday night. So be there. And remember, it's the end. It's not the end. That's another interesting thing, right? We start Bereishit. It means beginning, and then we have Vaychulu end. So already just in the first chapter,
right?
Or actually, from the first chapter going to the second chapter, we already have beginning and end. So maybe and that's the framing, and so we all have our beginnings, which are called Kaddish, and then we have our safe. It says safe Ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. But what we do at the end is loops back to the very beginning.
Right.
And you weren't here, but mentioned also the word Bereishit has the word Shabbos in it, meaning the whole intention of it to come, of sacred time, is already from the very first moment of time. And that it creates the bias. Shabbos, bias, and Shabbos, right? Yeah,
right.
All right. Yeshukaya, or Reish Shabbat Shabbos, right? All right. Good Shabbos, everyone. All right. We're going off of Facebook.
Right.